All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back for another deep dive.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah. So today we're going to be swinging into the world of Spider-Man.
Ooh, nice.
But we're not talking about the usual, saving the world from giant robots or fighting, the Green Goblin or Doc Ock or whatever.
Right.
We're looking at one of Spider-Man's lesser-known adventures.
Okay.
One that really, highlights Spidey's compassion and his heart.
Interesting.
So picture this, Ari.
Okay.
It's a chilly night in New York City.
Classic.
Spider-Man's, doing his usual patrol, swinging across rooftops.
Mm-hmm.
But something's different tonight.
There's
There's a tension in the air.
Right. I like that. Yeah, like a different vibe.
Exactly. Yeah, you can just tell something's not quite right.
Okay.
And you know what? I think one of the things that makes Spider-Man stories so compelling is that even though it's this fantastic fictional world,
Right.
the creators often ground his adventures in real-world issues
Oh, for sure.
that people can actually relate to.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And tonight, the issue is a crime wave that's specifically targeting the city's elderly residents.
Wow. That's pretty heavy stuff.
It is. Yeah, it's like a real vulnerability that's being exploited,
Yeah. It's a tough situation for sure.
And it really hits home for Spider-Man when he learns about this woman, Mrs. Caldwell,
Okay.
who's a retired school teacher,
Got it.
and she's just been robbed of her entire life savings.
Oh, wait.
Yeah, $1 million.
$1 million.
By this ruthless gang of thieves known as the Silver Shadows.
Oh, the Silver Shadows. I've heard of these guys.
Yeah, they're pretty notorious in Spider-Man's world. And get this,
What's that?
Mrs. Caldwell, she was saving up that money to open an art school for underprivileged kids.
Oh, man.
It's just it just adds this whole other layer of awfulness to the crime.
It's like a real punch in the gut.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly, yeah.
Stealing from a school teacher who's trying to help kids. I mean, come on.
It's just heartbreaking, right?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit more about these Silver Shadows.
All right, so the Silver Shadows, they're like this infamous group in Spider-Man's universe,
Right.
known for being these phantom thieves,
Ooh.
right, operating in the
Yeah.
shadows.
Mm-hmm.
They rely heavily on stealth and precision to pull off their heists.
So they're kind of like the opposite of Spider-Man in a way.
Yeah, you could say that.
He's all about agility and that in-your-face style, right?
Totally. Yeah, he's flamboyant.
Yeah, he wants you to know he's there.
Right, right.
But these guys are all about being unseen,
Yeah, they're like ghosts, basically.
And I think this case with Mrs. Caldwell, it really shows us another side of Spider-Man.
Oh, how so?
Because he realizes right away that brute force isn't going to be enough this time.
Yeah, you got to outsmart them.
Exactly. He needs to be smarter,
Yeah.
more strategic to take down these guys.
Interesting.
So what does Spidey do?
Well, Spider-Man, his investigation eventually leads him to this abandoned subway station.
Okay.
And his Spidey sense, it's tingling like crazy,
Of course.
telling him that this is the Silver Shadow's hideout. So using his, superhuman abilities, he manages to slip into the station undetected.
Okay.
And what does he find? He finds the entire gang just sitting there counting their loot.
Oh, wow.
$1 million in cash.
Talk about cocky.
Right.
They're so overconfident.
They think they're untouchable.
And they don't even have a lookout.
That's a classic villain mistake right there.
Yeah, no kidding.
Overconfidence is their downfall.
It always is. And of course, Spider-Man, being Spider-Man,
Yeah.
he can't resist making a grand entrance.
He's got to make a scene.
Oh, yeah. He drops right down into the middle of their operation.
Oh, man.
With a witty one-liner, just to really throw them off.
I bet they were surprised.
Oh, totally. They're completely caught off guard.
What the?
Exactly. And it's so Spider-Man,
Oh, yeah. He loves to turn the tables on his enemies.
He does. He does. But things escalate pretty quickly
Oh, I bet.
because we've got Bruiser,
Yeah.
this huge muscle-bound thief.
So he's the brawn of the operation.
Exactly. Yeah, he charges straight at Spider-Man.
Oh, man.
Then another thief tries to make a run for it.
With the money.
Yeah, with a bag of cash.
Smart.
And then there's Victor,
Victor,
the leader of the Silver Shadows.
the brains of the operation.
Yeah, he grabs the bulk of the money
Of course.
and bolts down into the subway tunnels.
This is where things get really interesting.
It does, right?
Because now Spider-Man, he has to deal with 3 different threats at once.
Yeah, it's like a 3-pronged attack.
Right, and he's got to figure out how to stop them all.
And this is where his his understanding of his environment really comes into play.
Yeah, for sure.
Because the subway tunnels, they basically become his web-slinging playground.
I love that image.
right? He's using the tight spaces that turns everything to his advantage.
It's like he's playing 3D chess or something.
Totally. And he's not just relying on his webs.
Right.
He's like anticipating the thieves' moves,
Okay.
using his agility and his quick thinking to outmaneuver them at every turn.
It's a real display of strategy and skill.
It's like a superpowered game of cat and mouse.
Totally.
But it's clear that this is more than just a game for Spider-Man.
Oh, absolutely.
You can see how much this means to him.
It's personal for him.
It is, yeah. It's not just about catching the bad guys.
That's about justice.
It's about getting that money back to Mrs. Caldwell.
And making sure that her dream of opening that art school isn't crushed.
Exactly. Like, that's what's driving him.
It's inspiring.
So, fast forward to the next morning.
Okay.
Spider-Man has successfully recovered all of the stolen money.
Wow, he did it.
Yeah, and he delivers it straight to the police,
For him.
ensuring its safe return to Mrs. Caldwell.
I bet she was overjoyed.
Oh, she was beyond relieved,
Can you imagine?
Yeah, like your entire life savings stolen, and then suddenly it's back.
Right, like a miracle.
And her dream of opening that art school,
It's back on track.
it's alive again.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And as the sun rises, Spider-Man swings off into the city,
Classic Spidey.
leaving a trail of hope in his wake.
Awesome.
So, thinking about this story,
Yeah,
it really makes you think, doesn't it?
it does.
Like, if you were in Spider-Man's shoes,
Okay.
would you have prioritized capturing the thieves right then and there,
Yeah.
or getting that money back to Mrs. Caldwell?
That's a tough one.
It is, right?
Yeah.
Because on the one hand, these criminals need to be brought to justice.
Absolutely.
But on the other hand, Mrs. Caldwell's dream is hanging in the balance.
And those kids need that art school.
They do, yeah. So it's like this real ethical dilemma.
It's a question of values,
Exactly. Like, what truly matters in a situation like this?
Yeah, that's deep.
So as we wrap up this deep dive,
Okay.
what are some of the key takeaways that stand out to you?
Well, I mean, obviously we see Spider-Man's incredible strength and agility.
Right.
His strategic thinking, his ability to adapt to any situation.
Yeah, because a resourceful guy.
But I think what really shines through in the story is his compassion, his unwavering commitment to doing what's right, even when it's hard.
Yeah, he goes the extra mile.
He does, and I think that's something we can all learn from.
Absolutely.
It's easy to get caught up in the spectacle of superhero stories.
Right.
But at their core, they're often about these very human values.
That's true.
Like courage, kindness, and responsibility.
Yeah, it's about using your abilities, whatever they may be,
Exactly.
to make a positive impact on the world.
I love that.
And that's a message that resonates with everyone,
For sure.
whether you're a superhero or just an ordinary person.
Totally.
That's so well said.
Thanks.
And that brings us to the end of our deep dive for today.
Another great one.
But before we go, I will leave you with one final thought.
Okay, hit me.
Think about Mrs. Caldwell's art school.
Right.
That one act of heroism from Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It's going to have a ripple effect, potentially shaping the lives of countless kids
Right.
who will now have access to art and creativity thanks to Spider-Man.
That's powerful.
It's helm, right? Like, imagine the possibilities that single act unlocks.
Wow.
Something to ponder, right?
Definitely food for thought.
All right, everyone, thanks for joining us for another deep dive.
Until next time.
We'll see you on the next one.
Take care.